It is 3:20 a.m. Should have waited till 4:20 a.m. Yeah. See, I'm saying this. I'm pointing out the time of day. I'm pointing out that it's so late because that's kind of relevant to the topic of this video. Basically, with my big comeback, hopefully that you've seen now, the announcement for it, the channel update. I figured, okay, maybe it would be worth sort of illuminating my whole history with YouTube as concisely as I can to give context. I sort of alluded to why I even started YouTube in the first place a couple times. And I think just having a little more detail and having it in a consolidated place, and then also relating that to my current situation and explaining why I'm taking the direction I am with the channel in a little more detail. I already said that, yeah, there's not gonna be more essays really, because it's just logistically not really feasible. I'm gonna explain both those logistical reasons and also, I guess, I mean, you can probably imagine the financial implications, right? But anyway, see, I finished high school. We're starting there. Not gonna say exact years or whatever, but finished high school, and you know, I was always sort of daydreaming, like, oh my god, I would love to make games someday, right? But it was never something that I seriously kind of considered because it seemed just way too difficult, right? And it seemed like it would take way too much courage to actually convince people that I want to do that, right? So I was never super specific about it. I always thought, maybe I'll do movies eventually, or maybe I'll be a writer, or maybe I'll be a journalist, a games journalist, maybe at worst, I suppose. But yeah, I was never super vocal about what I actually planned because I didn't have the strength to even go for it, right? For real. And I sort of thought, yeah, I can just do a basic general fucking media study program, right, in college. I thought maybe that would be a good idea, but I was kind of, again, don't want to go into too much detail, but I was kind of urged to do business economics, right? Sort of against my will. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I think I can just finish it. I can just finish this, and then when I have the degree, I can just do whatever I want with it, right? It's relatively flexible, right? You can probably apply lots of places. I guess there's kind of a fallacy where a lot of people think that you love games, so as long as you're working in the games industry, you're happy, right? I don't think it works like that, right? I don't know how it is for most people. I would assume it is actually like that for a lot of people, but for me, it's not really, right? Just being sort of connected to games. I don't love games as like a culture or whatever, right? Generally, I just love what games can be, right? And I want to contribute to them in that way. And that's why, yeah, I even now that I'm studying game design, I know I'm not going to be happy unless I actually make the games that I want to make, right? But that's a whole other topic, right? So, did my first semester of business economics, and kind of knew people there, actually from high school as well, who went to the same college, and had some degree of loose connection to campus and some people there, but it was pretty far away from where I lived, right? It was at least an hour train ride. So actually staying after school and forging sort of more meaningful connections, right, was very difficult. It was not really in the cards, but I was not super worried about that first semester, right? I was like, yeah, okay, I'm writing my exams, and like I know some people here, so it's gonna be alright. And just very quickly after that, I started falling off, right? I started paying less and less attention in lectures, and then having to study more and more, and being overwhelmed with the amount of stuff there was to study. And then by the time exams rolled around, I didn't even sign up for them because I was not confident I would be able to do them, right? I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but in Germany you have to sign up for the exam, and then you do the exam, right? And you get a limited number of tries for it. If you fail it, you try again. You can try again next semester if you sign up. But that's the thing, it's not worth signing up if you know you're gonna fuck it up, right? And for me, I felt that I would fuck up a lot, so I didn't even sign up in the first place. And that would just keep snowballing over the years, right? Over the next couple semesters. And this whole time, I sort of still weirdly try to convince myself, it's gonna be alright. I can catch up, right? So as I was living this lie, I was doing this really shitty warehouse job. I was working with UPS, just stacking boxes and shit. It was very bad, and a lot of fucking bad shit happened to me there. Like, just a lot of physical and emotional trauma. That's it's again, it was another thing that I was kind of urged into. It's not a job that I wanted, but I was urged into it, and I really fucking regret it. I don't want things to get too sad now, but honestly, there's just some shit that I realize you do need money to survive, right? But in that kind of environment, the trauma that you subject yourself to, I think it's not worth it. The long-term wounds is not worth it. Honestly, I think with this kind of work, you're fucking your mental health to such an extent that you can't even... You're ruining your chance to get out of it, right? You're ruining your chance to eventually do something better. And yeah, the advice I would give you with that and with college as well, don't let other people urge you into things. Like, don't do shit on the vague promise that, oh, like, you're gonna have better prospects in the future if you do this now. You should do what actually makes you happy. Don't fucking worry about this shit. I see way too many people. I think our generation, it's so fucking common. I think about my high school class, right? And I'm not in contact with most of them, right? But I do kind of know, just from stories I've heard, probably 50% of us still do not have, like, they're not functioning adults, right? They don't have super stable jobs, and they have moved out, right? Still with their parents. Obviously, there's really huge economical fucking reasons for that. And I still live with my parents, right? I count myself in that 50%. I think a lot of it is you go to college and you do some kind of study program that you're not passionate about, and then you take a million years to finish it, right? Even with my current job, where I work with a lot of other students, they're so fucking tired of college, right? A lot of them are taking so long to finish it because they're not passionate about it. And yeah, I think the long-term prospects of the thing that you went with, probably the difference that makes is probably not as huge as the time difference, right? The time that you're losing, sort of torturing yourself with it, right? When you could have done something that actually just made you happy, right? And then worried about what you can do with it later. Especially with how fast times are changing, with how fast job requirements are changing. Just the world is getting so much more fast and loose and more flexible, that being so married to this idea, yeah, I gotta study this exact thing, whatever. I gotta have this very traditional education, whatever. It's so foolish, honestly. Do something that you know you can realistically finish in a reasonable amount of time. I think that's way better advice, right? And like, if you're if you don't know what to study yet, right? I don't think studying is pointless, by the way, right? I think there's great things that come with that. I'm going to talk about that. But god damn it, I wish I would have just worked a proper job for a couple years instead, you know, instead of doing business economics and doing that shitty warehouse job. Needless to say, with how I've just described that experience, I think it's probably very natural to understand that holy fuck, I was depressed out of my skull that time, right? I did not see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I was very desperate, right? And I was also in a relationship that, in hindsight, was very bad for me, that did not make me happy, that just drained me more than anything. And just all that compounded in a way where I was like, fuck, I think I just want to do something for myself. I think I just want to do something for myself. I want to put work into something and then see what happens, right? And that's when I started YouTube, because I always had this idea, fuck, I would like to do fucking video reviews. I always had that idea in my head, that it always seemed like an inevitability, you know, from my perspective. For a very long time, I had super thought out specific ideas. Okay, this is a review I'm gonna do, and this is a thing that I want to talk about, blah, blah, blah. I would even play out those scenarios in my head, right? So, bought some equipment, as cheap as I could, and really carefully plan out, okay, the DMC5, by this point, it was a huge meme, right? We were fairly certain it had to be announced soon, right? God, the energy on the fucking Twitter timeline was different back then. Just how rapidly my bubble was praying for DMC5 to be announced. So from that, we would talk about DMC a lot, right? And one thing that I noticed is, I have a very different feeling about DMC4, and specifically DMC4 Dante and how he plays in that game. Because it seemed like the narrative was like, oh, it's such an obviously perfect system, and it's like the fucking, just the best. People would just very linearly say, oh, it's the best gameplay, quote unquote, the best combat, or whatever, right? And I felt like I had, my feelings on it were just super complex and very hard to articulate on Twitter. And I was like, you know what, that's a good topic for a video. And then I could tie it in with the MC5, right? And then build my whole channel on that. That was the plan. And timed it that way. And surprisingly, the video actually relatively blew up, right? For a first video, my channel based in Germany, from someone who's not a native speaker, whose editing was very bad, whose audio was very fucking bad, all those things considered, right? My first video is just a fucking goddamn mess. On a lot of sort of polish levels. All of that considered, 38,000 is a pretty nice number, right? And it was pretty surreal to see it that way. And I think it's, yeah, you can probably imagine from my position, it's natural to assume, oh shit, this is actually working. This is actually worth pursuing. So I went all in, right? I kind of ignored college, because I had already sort of realized, yeah, this is just not fucking working. And, well, I didn't ignore it entirely, right? But I think I actually still was writing exams the whole time. I was still going to exams and shit. But it was definitely not my primary focus anymore. And then I was torturing myself through that fucking job, and then getting home, making YouTube videos, right? And when I said all in, what I meant is that I really set myself the goal, yeah, I want to have one video, one scripted, fucking fully edited essay every month. And I would always tie them into fucking current events, right? And my god, was that a fucking just a nightmare process, right? And I burned myself out real good. And I think I don't have to go into too much more detail with that. I think you can imagine, you can probably see from the videos themselves that the process was very chaotic, and I got more and more experience with it. My audio and my video got better and better over time. Bought my own capture card, bought a better microphone, just learned better technique on the mic. I guess it's it's interesting to point out that I had this perception of my voice, and I guess it's still accurate, that it's a very growly kind of voice. I always say I have the Kim Kardashian vocal fry, you know, like that. Just I have this very guttural, low frequency growl in my voice, right? That's very inherent. And obviously you can do shit about that in post, but I didn't really understand that at the time. I didn't understand the concept that every voice is fucking different and you have to put different editing on it, and you shouldn't just copy fucking settings that you found on YouTube that make you sound like a bass boost meme. Oops. So that's why, if you're wondering why the fuck am I whispering basically in the first DMC4 video, that's the reason, right? Because I want to reduce the growliness of it. And these days I'm like, yeah, fuck it, it's better to just... Yeah, I think at some point you just learn it. At some point you intuitively figure out the right tone. Not be too energetic, but not too bored on the mic, I guess. And I just don't worry about the growliness anymore. I just kind of embrace it. I just roll with it. And I think it just works way better that way. And yeah, I think from my Resident Evil 2 video onward, it's pretty tolerable, I'd say. The remix video, the last essay that I did, I'm actually really happy with. I think that actually sounds pretty great. It's not how I mix the audio now. I have different settings now with EQ, but still, that's the one video I'm like super comfortable looking at now. Still. So all that was going on, right? And at some point, yeah, I was still living with the lie that I would finish fucking business economics eventually, right? Well, at some point it came out, right? And you have to imagine, obviously, it's something that when you've spent so long like trying to desperately convince yourself that it's gonna be fine, you can imagine how difficult it is to tell other people about it, right? Specifically in this case, my parents. And at some point it just came out that, yeah, I'm super behind with college, and I had to be realistic about it and realize, yeah, this is actually not going anywhere. And obviously that was very emotional and very painful. And that's actually when I told my parents what I had been up to, right, with the YouTube and shit. To kind of prove that, yeah, I haven't been doing nothing, right? To really drive home the idea that, yeah, I just was not happy with what I was doing, and I needed to change something. I needed to do something for myself, and this is what I'm passionate about, right? And that's where my parents kind of understood, like, okay, you know what, maybe this is actually the right way to go for him. And we started looking into game design college the next day, basically. I gotta be honest with y'all, I'm getting a little bit emotional, like, thinking about it now. Telling this whole story. See, at that point, the nightmare, I guess, was officially over. Because from that point onward, everything just went super great. See, the thing with my current college is that I'm about to enter my fifth semester, and it's almost impossible to even fall behind in the first place because it's so rigidly structured almost. And I don't mean rigid in a bad way, it's just they really emphasize building this super tight-knit community, and again, having a very regulated structure and schedule and just routine, I guess. Yeah. And that's one thing, but also I'm just legitimately enjoying it, right? The first semester I was legitimately so invested, and it was just a whole new world, right? Like a whole new world had opened up, and I was I was actually looking forward to waking up. Fuck, man. Like, it was nice to just be in an environment where you actually have people to talk to. It's not this huge fucking soulless monolith where everyone is a zombie, and you have these huge lecture halls where you don't know anyone. There's no one to fucking really even sit next to. And there's actually fun events to get invested in. The lectures are enjoyable, even though they're not perfect, right? And they really, they get you to go out of your comfort zone and actually interact with people. And I think, fuck man, I didn't expect to get so emotional. It's just as someone who's always had anxiety issues and issues making friends, especially. I always say this, I have way more anxiety toward friends than toward strangers, right? I hate this feeling of making people hate me, right? I hate this feeling that anything I say could be cringe or embarrassing or whatever, and people are going to judge me for it. I was teased a lot at school, and this is the first time that I don't feel like a stepchild, you know? Where I actually feel like I belong. And it's just nice. And yeah, I wish I could have had that sooner, you know, in life in general. Well, that's fucking cringe. Oh, I'm being really cringe right now. Alright. So once I learned that, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do game design, right? I was like, shit, okay. I'm gonna quit my shitty job. I'm gonna probably get something else, right? As long as YouTube is not making money. But since everything is gonna be way more regulated and I'm gonna be way more motivated, I was like, okay, you know what? This is probably the time to ramp up. This is probably the time to actually try making more money with YouTube, and that's where I launched the Patreon, right? I was like, okay, I'm gonna do more spontaneous videos, and now that everybody knows that I'm making videos, it's maybe gonna be logistically a little bit easier to get them going, right? To get them made. And was very excited, right? But then I didn't expect how much I actually would enjoy college, right? And how in it I would be, right? How involved I would be with events and just hanging out every day after school. The first semester of college, really, you know, the first semester of new college, and this was not my first semester period, but the caterpillar really turned into the butterfly. You know, I fucking transformed as a person, honestly. I'm still a fucking mess, right? But it's funny, Tyler, the creator, he always says that he had his ugly phase with like 24, 23, something like that. And he only became a proper adult after that, right? I feel similarly. I felt like in that first semester, I had more development as a person than the prior fucking 5 years before, right? And I also exited that relationship that I mentioned, met someone I really care about in college, right? Who I'm dating now. I'm basically a fucking normie. And that left, unfortunately, precious little time for videos, in fact. And I guess I already alluded to this in the channel update, but basically, you have to imagine, so much of my time was already spent on college and just the people there. And then whatever extra time I had left, it did not seem wise to make YouTube videos, right? To actually work on scripted videos. I actually, one of the first things I did when I was on campus, I was literally on my little laptop and writing an Astral Chain review. Because I had just finished it and I thought it sucked, right? I was like, oh, okay, that's gonna be my next video. But then it just never came out because there was never a good time to actually make it. And I kind of slowly had to accept that it was just not working out, because the remakes video, that was the last video that I think I finished it the first week of the first semester for game design, right? Finished that the first week. And view-wise, it was super disappointing. And I had noticed for a while that, wow, my views are super inconsistent. I had the Kingdom Hearts 2 video earlier that same year, right? That blew the fuck up. That's still my biggest video, with 100k plus views. I think the timing was just perfect, and the topic chosen and the way I talked about it was perfect. And I still think it's a pretty good video. There's some stuff I'm not happy about, but like, yeah, whatever. So that Kingdom Hearts video was like February, and I think you can reasonably, you can understand that from that I would be like, fuck, okay, this is working, right? I can do this. And then every video I made after that, the Resident Evil 2 video, the remakes video, they just did not hit, and they were so much work. And I think there was something else that I did right that didn't blow up. I don't want to say didn't blow up, but like it didn't even hit 10k, right? And that was telling me, okay, my subscriber count was not growing. And I realized that you have to give these things more time, right? But generally, you could see a trend that my channel was a fucking dartboard and it was not consistent at all, right? And again, the more time passed, the more slowly I accepted that fact, right? That, yeah, okay, this is not gonna work, and any minutes that I put into YouTube is gonna feel like a waste. And I'm not sure anymore when I decided that I wouldn't do essays anymore. Maybe it was the same as my business economics stint, where I was like, yeah, it's gonna be fine. Like, this is gonna work out somehow. It's okay. I can make videos eventually. I don't really quite recall. I just know at some point I decided, yeah, it's not gonna work, and I was like, yeah, I have to make an update on the channel saying, sorry guys, it's not gonna happen. And the Patreon was trucking along, right? I was doing the Patreon videos, and that was relatively achievable, right? I still felt that I had a difficult time sort of fitting it into my schedule sometimes. And a lot of that is just due to how I have to record these, right? And this is where we go back to the very beginning of this video, where, yeah, it's very difficult to record shit when you live with 4 other people in the house who are just never fucking quiet, and when you're also on top of that, you live on a relatively busy street like me. I live on the first floor. I'm literally, if I open the window, there's just people on the street and they can peek right in, right? And see, I think even for ramble videos like this and for streams, it's uncomfortable. I hate just knowing that people can hear me and stuff, and I hate the background noise. Well, the background noise, I'm not that, at least with outside noise, I'm not that concerned about. I don't want my family to be picked up on the mic, because it's, you know, I'm gonna assume they don't want to be picked up either. But yeah, just being able to speak freely is very hard when you know someone could interrupt you at any minute, and it's just still very annoying, right? Even with my current direction with the channel, it's something that I'm always sort of preoccupied with, and that doesn't really give me peace of mind, you know? It's still hampering my ability to make shit on this channel in a way that troubles me, that I still have to kind of alleviate. I'm not sure how yet, but I mean, it's getting better, right? It's getting a lot better. I can say that. At least with streams, I care kind of less and less about when I do them. I'm more comfortable doing them earlier now. With these ramble videos, I still don't. I think I just have to get up really early and then do them then. I think that's a way better solution than staying up super late, right? Because my family, they tend to be up late more than up early as well. So if I get up like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. is not even that early, right? It's just I'm usually not in the mood to record videos then, right? See, knowing all that, you can probably extrapolate from that yeah, for written essays, it's way fucking worse. These conditions make written essays even fucking worse than just regular videos and streams. Because obviously not only are my standards way higher, right? I want it to be kind of a polished product without any obvious flaws or background noise in there. So that's one thing, right? That's why I want to make absolutely sure that that everything is quiet, that I can record them in peace. But then on top of that, the other thing is that delivery is very difficult. I'm not someone who's a trained voice artist, right? I mean, hopefully you'll back me up on this, but I would say I've gotten way better at speaking, right? At speaking into a microphone and reading my scripts as well. And like a lot of it is just writing the scripts in a way that is easy to read. That's actually a really underrated part of the craft, I'd say. But still, it takes me a lot of fucking attempts to get through a script. I need to do a lot of retakes for every single line. And that is very, very challenging when your whole body and your whole voice just gets sore over time. But then also editing that is such a fucking nightmare, dude. Oh my god, you wouldn't believe how painful it is to filter through all these takes and shit and remove all these tiny mistakes. And it's dumb, right? Because in a lot of cases, just recording the line again is better, right, and faster and more efficient. The problem is that I can't just record it again, right? I don't have the environment where I can just hit the button on the microphone and be like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna record, right? Because there's always fucking people screaming. So imagine I was making YouTube videos under those conditions for like a year, right? Since the Devil May Cry, like started with the MC4 video and then ended with the remix video. I was making videos under those conditions and it was so fucking bad. It was such a fucking pain. I think in a way, obviously YouTube was very gratifying, right? But the burnout and just the stress of how I had to work on it was not fun, right? It was very, very much contributing to my bad outlook on life at the time. I can guarantee it's never gonna be like that again, right? I'll say this, preparing this whole channel comeback has been kind of stressful. The last couple days, it's taken up a surprising amount of time, but it's relatively okay, and I know I can chill after this, right? And I'm gonna keep it way less ambitious. But I hope, knowing all of that, I hope you can understand that, yeah, just the essays, they do not make sense for me right now. Unless, really the only way is that, yeah, I could quit my current job and then make enough money on Patreon or whatever, right? With scripted essays. That would work, right? But I don't even know if that's what I want to do, right? I have a lot of other reasons where I said this in the channel update as well, where a video, the DMC5 video, it has so much emotion behind it, right? And I still like that video, but it just doesn't really reflect my opinion on the game anymore. And I've realized I'm someone, I change my opinions a lot on things, right? And I'm kind of starting to feel maybe YouTube just is not the platform. Like, I think this kind of content, maybe it's starting to lose its place a little bit. I mean, Matthew Matosis has quit, right? And a lot of the classic essay guys are not uploading so frequently anymore, or I think that's someone like Gaming Weird, right? I like his newer videos, but they're a lot lower key, right? And I think the whole energy around essay culture, whatever, it's just way different now. And it's kind of, I don't want to discourage anyone from making essays, right? But I'm just saying, I think for me, I'm getting to the point where it's like, yeah, maybe YouTube isn't that for me anymore, right? Maybe YouTube really is just, and the internet in general it's like it's for more throwaway, as shitty as it sounds, more throwaway content that is kind of short-lived, that doesn't have to reflect your opinion in like 10 years still. I like the efficiency of streaming. I've said this in the channel. I said this in the channel update as well, but I like that some fucking crazy thing can happen on Twitter, and I can that same evening just hit the stream button and be like, oh, okay, let's talk about that, right? And yeah, it just stresses me out way less. I don't need to polish it. I can just speak my mind. And yeah, I do have strong opinions, but I'm not a very abrasive person, I would say, generally. For me, it's perfect, right? And from the way that the chat usually responds, I can tell that this format is working, at least in my estimation. So yeah, that's the whole story. That's my whole fucking YouTube story. That's all the context you're ever gonna need. Got very emotional for a little bit, surprisingly. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the vulnerable side of Wonder Magenta, of Ziad. Yeah, hope you enjoy the remaining month of videos that's about to come for you, if you're not already on a Patreon. And yeah, I'll holler at you.